Hey guys, Paco here. Welcome back to the channel. Question for you, same question I asked in my last video. Would you guys be up for me doing live stream reactions? Where when I go live, instead of just playing the games, I'll just stream my reactions right to you guys. Let me know in the comments down below if that's something you guys would like to see. And we are back again with another legal mindset video about Nintendo losing a patent battle.
Nintendo has been absolutely wrecked as one of their patents is blown away, and this is gonna
be about Pokemon and Palworld? I think so. Just by the screen alone, I think that's what it's going to be about. I remember reading, what was it, last year or the year before, something about that, about Nintendo suing the creators of Palworld because they're talking about the characters and stuff in it, like the little animals, whatever you want to call them, closely resemble Pokemon.
set them back in their battle with Pocket Pair and Palworld.
Yep.
We're going to get that today on the Legal Mindset, where we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. This is a Fast Facts video, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. So jumping right into it, our defendants today are Nintendo, the big global game company,
Pokemon,
as well as Pokemon Company and the Pokemon Company International. They have been in a very pitched legal battle with, of course, Palworld and
bro. Why couldn't they just let them have it? I mean, yeah, they kind of look similar to Pokemon, but like at the same time, I don't know. I know Palworld was huge. I don't know if Palworld's still a big game or not, but I know when it first came out, that's all anybody was talking about. That's what they played. I gave it a try myself. I don't know. I never really got into it.
Pocket Pair, but now they're getting blown away by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the USPTO, which has now destroyed one of their patents. We're going to get into that. So, as some background for those that may not know, Pokemon has been, and Nintendo have been very, very, very mad at Pocket Pair and Palworld for a while now, and because of that, they engaged in lawfare by suing them for patent infringement in a Japanese court, that's the Tokyo District Court, since September of 2024. Now, as that lawsuit was
about 2 years, yeah.
After that, in September of 2025, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office granted Nintendo a patent covering a very, very broad topic, which was summoning a sub-character and having it battle on the player's behalf, inclusive of the ability to switch between manual and automatic battle modes. So this was a very, very broad patent, and at the time Nintendo had been pushing several overly broad patents into both Japan and America, and people have been
I mean, I'm not a patent expert, but I'm pretty sure patents have to kind of be specific, because you just have a patent that says you could summon a character, an animal, a buddy, whatever, to fight for you. That's like half the games on the market then that Nintendo can sue.
speaking up about this, saying, hey, wait a second, this covers a lot of things. And at the time, people pointed out other games like Persona, Pikmin, World of Warcraft, Diablo, Borderlands, Disgaea. There's a lot of other games that use this same mechanic.
Exactly.
And it seems to be problematic, saying, hey, so many games are using this mechanic. How in the world are they, coming up in 2025, all of a sudden patenting this when this is something that has been used before? Well, a very interesting note here is when you're looking at these patent reviews, you're looking at what patents have been filed before, not just the actual games. In fact, the people reviewing it may not actually have played any of the games we just mentioned. However, what we did have was the actual U.S. Patent and Trade Director in November of 2025,
John
just
Squires.
2 months after that patent was issued, saying, hey, wait a minute, we need to re-examine this Nintendo patent that was granted. And that's
Good.
very much due to everybody calling this out, people saying, wait a second, how did this get approved in the first place? And this is only the second time in a decade in which a director ordered a patent to be re-examined. And they cited prior art as the reason why they were saying, hey, wait, let's look at this again. You know, they're saying that prior art was pretty much describing the same idea. So they looked through existing patents that are in the US patent system already. And those included a Konami 2002 patent named Yabe. And these are, of course, often named after the people that create them. Then Nintendo filed their very own 2020 Taura patent. And then Bandai Namco had a Shimamoto patent. And then, of course, the last one they looked at was Nintendo's 2022 Motokura patent. So when they looked at all of those patents together, they said as a whole, actually, they include everything that was in that new patent that they wanted to get granted in September of 2024.
Yeah, they basically Nintendo wanted to, which is sad because everybody who's my age, I mean, even some younger people, we all grew up with Nintendo. Nintendo was the main thing. You had Sega fall off, you had Atari fall off, PlayStation's still around, but Nintendo was our childhoods. Growing up with the original Game Boy Color, Advance, DS, all the way up, Pokemon coming out in the late 90s, and being a mainstay for the past, God, almost 30 years now. And Nintendo just wants to turn around and patent systems used in a lot of games. I won't be surprised if there will be, I don't know if there will be restrictions or if Nintendo's US patents now will be scrutinized more in depth than what they were before.
Essentially, there's nothing new here. Everything has been covered by past patents, so there's nothing new. It's all inclusive in those previous patents. Therefore, your patent is invalid. So on April 2nd, just a day ago, the U.S. Patent Office issued a non-final rejection of all 26 claims in the Nintendo patent. So
good.
Hey, all of those, they're rejected. Now, they are able to appeal that. They do have an appeal right. But they said that the invention, this patent, was obvious in the light of prior art. And they said that, hey, it's invalid as a whole because of these previous filings. Now, they've got 2 months to appeal, and they have the possibility of some extensions there. And they've got some arguments on their side to be able to try to come back and try to resurrect maybe some parts of that patent. But that's up to Nintendo's team of lawyers. Now, how does this affect Pokemon versus Palworld? Well, this is a very interesting question because actually there is no direct legal effect. So the U.S. patent does not affect the Japanese patent. They're separate systems, the U.S. patent system.
Well, yeah,
Japanese
two different countries.
System. So the Japanese case is citing the Japanese patents, which are still in place. And as a reminder, those patents involve creature capturing, throwing, summoning for battle, and riding and mounting, which includes flying. And the Japanese Patent Office is applying that Japanese law and saying, okay, this is Japan. And I want to make a little quick comment. This is a fun time for a Justice Jackson comment when she commented in the Supreme Court
your
just
wallet.
the day that
I have
stealing
Japanese
a wallet might make you Japanese. No, that doesn't actually work out. And neither does applying the law of one country to another. So we have to keep Japan separate. Sorry, Justice.
Yeah, from my understanding of it, each country has their own laws, and then there's a set of international laws that a bunch of countries have come together and agreed that should be similar or the same in every country.
Jackson, you are not in fact Japanese. But let's jump over and continue. So the good thing for Palworld is that this actually, while it doesn't have a direct legal effect, actually affects the validity of the validity of the other patents in terms of arguing they are invalid. So it strengthens the argument that other Nintendo and Pokemon patents may actually be invalid. And we at this point have a US rejection, but also Japan looking at patents and saying, no, they're not okay. Japan already rejected one Nintendo Pokemon patent on similar grounds, saying there's similar art, right? This art already exists, so we're going to reject this patent. So this could become a pattern for Nintendo where they're having their patents that they submit more closely scrutinized, maybe even
He just said the same thing I said, more closely scrutinized. Nintendo's U.S. expansion crippled, aggressively filing anti-Palworld patents. Chilling effect on games reduced. It is a huge Palworld PR win. Because it gives Palworld more negotiating leverage in the lawsuit that they're facing with Nintendo. Now you guys have to remember these things take years. But yeah, Palworld could go in there and say, hey, you know, the US and Japan have already denied your patents.
examined in Japan. That's always possible. So you might have a situation in which they're losing ground in terms of their patent applications. Also, their whole US strategy has been crippled. So the Nintendo's US strategy, along with the Pokemon Company, was to essentially file a bunch of patents as an anti-Palworld protection. So essentially trying to prevent Palworld and Pocket Pair or other companies that want to do something similar to Palworld or Pocket Pair from being able to do that in the US market. And now that they've been blown back on this, it looks like that whole strategy of trying to panic file in the US and cover everything is not going to work.
Nah.
And that also has reduced the chilling effect on games. Developers that want to have Pokemon Palworld like games or games that may have some sort of similar feel or theme are not edged out of that entire genre of the monster catching genre. It's not all.
Yeah, so it's going to help a lot more games come to life now. I remember hearing about a couple games that were kind of put on the back burner because of this whole lawsuit between Palworld and Nintendo Pokemon. Hopefully we'll get some more games like them. I mean, my thing with Palworld that I didn't like was that you could go out and capture the creatures, but then it was also like a building one. If they would kind of make like, I don't know, honestly, kind of make like a war one or something like that with the creatures, I'd be all over it. I'd buy it in an instant, and I'd play the hell out of it.
Dominated by Pokemon. You don't have to bend the knee to them before you're able to enter that space. So that chilling effect on game creation has been reduced. And I think this is a massive win for Palworld in terms of PR, because if you think about it, they're now able to have the negotiating leverage of saying, okay, you're not going to be able to box us out with patents outside of the lawsuit, because they're able to say, if they were able to, let's say, corner them by saying effectively, hey, we're patented out the US market, Palworld, you're not going to be able to enter that, other companies won't be able to enter that, then the settlement in their Japanese lawsuit might be less, right? Because they're able to say, hey, you don't have any market to expand, you can't take this game anywhere. But now they can't do that. They can't box them out, they can't prevent them through these other strategies, and therefore they may have to come to the bargaining table or offer more, or come to some sort of settlement arrangement with Palworld. So here's my judgment. Nintendo losing this patent is certainly a significant setback in its global plans.
Oh, absolutely,
and
it is.
The bigger thing is Pokemon's lawfare campaign is failing. It is not working out the way they thought it would. They thought they'd be able to bully them into submission and just submit mass filings that would just be rubber stamped. That's not going to work anymore, it looks like. This is an indirect win for Palworld, and it further inspires them to fight rather than to fold and cave to Nintendo. But I want to know what you guys think about this, and I'll catch you in the comments below. Bye.
What I think about it is that it sets Palworld up in a really good position right now to be able to continue what they're doing and expand the game they have. It definitely is going to hurt Nintendo. I think it's going to hurt Nintendo in the short term. I don't think it's really going to go to the long term and hurting Nintendo. Well, we'll have to see. I mean, Pokemon is huge. I mean, me, myself, I just bought Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Switch, too. I mean, Pokemon is huge. A lot of people know Pokemon. Hell, I'm teaching my kid about Pokemon. So I don't see Pokemon or Nintendo going anywhere anytime soon. It is definitely, in the short term, going to cripple them. They're going to have to... But I think it's also going to help them in the long term. Because you have a game like Palworld that's there. And Pokemon has kind of been falling off with the last couple games. I know Winds and Waves are coming out soon, so we'll have to see. I think a lot more people were into the older, like, structured games than the newer ones. So, I don't know. Maybe Pokemon will have to innovate now and take some ideas from Palworld and kind of give you... one thing off the top of my head is give you, like, a training area for your Pokemon. Where you could kind of go in and train them up. So, if you catch, like, a level 2 Pokemon... You could go in there and you could work with the Pokemon and train them up to their like level 5 or something. Or you could give like multiple different areas. If you're going into an area and the wild Pokemon in that area are level 50 and your Pokemon are only like level 47, then you could go to this area and train up with your Pokemon in like a safe kind of way to get them to like level 50. I know that's kind of hand holding. And not really what Pokemon's about, but it was just an idea off the top of my head in literally 3 seconds.